reception and tell them that if they hear a bang, there's not an emergency.
It's one speed. Bring out the phone. I didn't see it. What, do I know? No, I they called his mom.
Like how else do you on?
I don't know. Well, really, I was supposed to be on my green light. I took my spot. Because I was sick.
Yeah, where are we?
They're gone. So they're gone. They were really bad. And they got rid.
I'm so sorry. You literally. No, I checked it, so I know it was right.
No, I didn't do that.
I have it that much.
I just practiced
I
it
didn't
online.
have that much.
I just online. I just did it online.
Is this the only thing the test is on?
Yeah, it better be. It's probably.
Okay, you could, ready? Leave everything behind and come on out. Oh, actually, no. I have to do the prelude. Because why are we doing this at all? The prelude is, please balance that equation. Probably balanced 1,000 times.
2, 1, 2.
2, 1, 2. So, this is not just a mathematical exercise. We have hydrogen now, we have oxygen, there are 4 hydrogens on that side, there are 4 hydrogens on that side, we got 2 on this side, we now have 2 on that side. And it can often feel like a mathematical operation. But we do it because we're trying to mimic what happens in nature, and there are consequences if we don't do it properly. You can't just add on a 2 on the end and make H2O2, because it actually literally makes water. And so we have to take into account what's actually there and use our coefficients to balance it so that we can do it. If you get the ratio just right, you will notice something a little bit different. So now we're going to go outside. hydrogen now. I have to get one more thing ready. I did post a pre-quiz that's on something called Kia. You've all been emailed a Kia username and password. Might be in your spam folder. Look for it. Make sure you can log on to the pre-quiz. Just to make sure that part works. While I'm getting that. Everybody able to log in?
No, I didn't get into that.
It's that.
I did.
I did 3 of the quizzes like last night. Like is that
Log into Queen?
Yeah.
Oh, then you're fine. Check your spam if you haven't found it.
It's not.
Search for Kia, Q-U-I-A, in your email.
You better focus on it.
Okay, inbox, and you're in your Brentwood,
Hold on.
and type in Kia. But some of you did get it?
I found it in my
I got it.
You found it in your what?
spam.
Yeah, it goes like straight to your spam.
Straight to your spam? You don't have a function where you automatically delete spam. No, it's more than 30 days. Because this is block B. Make sure I sent it.
All now.
Block B, did I put the right roster up for? Oh, by the way, your password is not something I picked, it's randomly generated. And I say that only because the student once saw the random number in Word and thought it was some sort of personal commentary. It's random. I think it was like 92 fail or something like that. And I was like, no, it just generated that word. Email each student using their username and password. Okay, should come in. You just got it.
Oh, here.
There you go. It just doesn't trust it. Perfect. Anybody else who hasn't found their username and password? Okay. We're going to try that demo one more time, but this one's going to be outside because it's equivalent to last year's balloon. And let's just see how loud it can be.
You know, like,
How-
do you remember the ball play that you did last year?
Yeah.
In the gym? Are you doing that?
That's what this is.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I said you go to this game on Sunday.
We will see if we can get a louder bangs than what we had indoors,
Dude, I literally had.
but I've set off the fire alarm 3 times, so I'm not allowed to do this inside.
Wait, do we do the normal quiz?
You can try. Okay, stand up. Follow me.
Oh, there. I don't know this secret.
Yep.
You know what you need to do to memorize the geology table?
Just memorize it?
Yeah, do the song.
I don't know the song, bro. I just know
Just this song?
Okay. Put away your laptops. You're doing the quiz. At the end of class. And pull out your data table.
That's what that. Oh wait, no.
Like your regular data table we use for every class. Data booklet.
This, the chemical reactions and biomass and this?
No, the one with the picture of the front.
Oh, okay.
Right here is the data booklet. You're always going to need that for naming.
Is it possible to get a new one?
Yes.
That is wrong.
Where do I have it? I have a lot of it. Where did they go? All cleaned up. Here. Oh, there's some. Who needs a data booklet?
I just remember in the song.
That's the data booklet?
Yeah.
You just want another one? Data booklet? Very good. Anybody else need a data booklet? I don't know if the stapler works. No. This first table is to remind you, this is on your colorful section. The reason I have two periodic tables in there because sometimes the colorful one confuses people. Atoms don't have charges unless they've rearranged their electrons. But if they were to rearrange their electrons, say get rid of their valence electrons or add valence electrons, what charge does this column have? 1. So these are all +1. God, why is this so slow? It's like a weird delay. What are you doing? Am I on a weird pen? Oh, it's better. +1. Huh. Interesting. What's this column? +2. What is- Is my computer doing something? Is it trying to protect me against viruses? No, it's not scanning. It's trying to use all of that. Runtime broker. What are you doing? No, no, no. That's literally nothing. Literally nothing. No. No, it's just that. Let's get rid of that. See if that helps. Maybe I won't write on it, but I want to. That one's not working. Now, what's this called? +3. You will almost never have to worry about carbon. Why? Let's try that again. You almost never have to worry about carbon in terms of ionic compounds. It will tend to form covalent compounds, so we don't have to worry about the +4. And then, but after that, we are going to have to worry about the other ones in terms of being part of ionic compounds as the anion. So carbon would be, if anything, -4. It'd be the carbide ion. Yeah, it's still not working. -3, -2, -1. Label that on there, much better than I did. That is 0. The main thing I wanted to emphasize with this is none of these ones have Roman numerals. No, Roman numerals is what I would have written if I could write things. There are 3 on there. One we know already from +3, but then zinc follows with +2, and silver follows with +1. They also never use Roman numerals because they always have that charge, and that is the charge they have always had historically. So chemists have just never given them Roman numerals. So when you're naming, you never use Roman numerals in ionic naming for this. You just know their charge. And if you forget their charge, you do have that entire periodic table to remind you. And in your periodic table, if you turn to a page that looks like, where is it? Find that on your periodic table. There is a page in your data booklet somewhere that has that. There you go. You'll notice on that page they have the Roman numerals for you in case you ever forget them, and what numbers they stand for. And this is just to remind you which ones don't require Roman numerals, because everything else on there does. Is this now writing properly?
Does the same thing apply for
Huh.
silicon?
So does it like this page?
This
No, it's just this page. Sorry, yes?
You know how carbon is ±4? Does that apply for silicon as well?
Yes. Except silicon will most likely be a non-metal and be in covalent names, so you're probably never going to see that.
So it would be a plus.
Yeah. So it'll be a minus silicide. Did we need that blank page for any particular reason? No. Now, if these are all, they're negative, I wrote on one of your quizzes, I said, what is this, please write the Bohr model for the fluoride ion. And somebody wrote on it, there's a mistake in your test. This is fluorine, not fluoride. The ion always has a different name. If it's negative, fluorine becomes fluoride. So if I say fluoride, I don't mean the atom, I mean the ion. Chlorine becomes chloride. Bromine, bromide. Iodine, iodide. And then sulfide, I'll do with an F since that's with a pH. Can be spelled with a pH or an F, it's just an alternate spelling. We have selenide, and then nitride. All of these are ides. Notice you don't see any 8s or ites. If someone gives you an ide, most likely it's the pure element and it doesn't have anything else with it. There is a couple of exceptions. There is the cyanide ion. However, there is no cyan atom, so that shouldn't be confusing. Phosphorus? Phosphide, not phosphoride, as sometimes people will guess, but phosphide, so they do have their own little idiosyncrasies with it. And then these ones are usually a lot easier, because what is the special name for the ion for lithium? Lithium. And for sodium? Sodium. And for potassium? Potassium. Metals, we don't change their name, especially if they're in the first column, because the first column, we don't change anything. However, what about when you have something like that?
Bonded together? No.
What is the metal ion called for copper?
Do you add prefixes?
don't add prefixes.
Copper.
Copper is close, it's half the name.
Copper 2.
Copper 2. Copper 2 would be this one. So copper 2 is copper plus 2. And so, of course, we have copper 1 is copper plus 1. Because if I said calcium chloride, then I know I have calcium plus 2, I have chloride, which I can look at in a periodic table as plus 1, crisscross applesauce, I've got calcium, chloride, I know exactly what it is. But if I say copper chloride, then I could have CuCl2, or I could have ClCl1, and you can't tell. You don't know which one. Copper could go either way. And so we need the Roman numeral not for the number of atoms. Sometimes students think that this number refers to the number there, and it doesn't. It could cancel out because of charges. This number refers specifically to the charge. And in some way on your notes, make that readily apparent. Roman numerals of the charge.
Where is that page?
Where's what? Oh, that's in your notes.
Oh,
Do you have your notes up?
notes like.
Like your note package that was given out previous
Oh.
days. Have you not been? Yeah. No, that's your data table.
Oh, we've been on the data table.
Yeah, like you had your data table up to look at it. But we're not writing all this down. How many of you did not have your notes up? Ooh, modern education.
2 days ago, and I believe. Wait, is it this one or is it the?
No, your notes. Notes that look like this at the front page. Simple ionic name.
Yeah, can you go back to
To the previous page that looked like this, where I said, write all that down. I wonder if this picture that I put on there is just so big it slows everything down. Because as soon as I get here, plus, yeah, it's doing it again. I wonder if that's just something about this page, man. It doesn't like it. Yeah. It's all right. There we go. So, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 2, plus 1. I should just use that other periodic table. Yeah. Clone page. Excellent. Take that down. To here. Go to this page. And I'm going to delete it. Delete page. Ha-ha! Clearing from page. There. Plain old periodic table. This entire column is plus 1. Now I can write plus 2, plus 3, plus 3, plus 2, plus 1, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, and 0. And this is plus or minus 4. But really, probably minus 4. The carbide ion is a thing. And if you see it with another element, you're probably going to see it in something like carbon dioxide, which is covalent and not ionic. I don't want you to get confused with that just yet. So if we have beryllium phosphide, the phosphide would be minus 3, the beryllium would be plus 2. We don't need any Roman numerals to tell us what the charges are because we have our periodic table. Excellent. Good on this page? Now that we all have our notes back together.
So do we only use the Roman numerals when it's
Yeah.
when the charge is not When there's more, yeah.
When there's more than one charge. So you only use Roman numerals for these ones.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to take out those. And we got the staircase line. So I'm going to roughly fill in that. So all of these use Roman numerals. As metals, never for non-metals. Oh, and I went a little too far there. I didn't put on the bottom one, but those that use Roman numerals too. So most metals do, but the most common metals don't. So like sodium doesn't. Sodium is an extremely common metal. So it might seem like most of the periodic table does, but a ton of the stuff that we name end up not needing it. And that one never does, and that one never does. There are little exceptions sitting in the thing. The Roman numerals are only for the charges. Now some students will hear, if they have more than one charge, then we use the Roman numerals. And you'll notice on your fancy, colorful periodic table, there's a couple elements in there. They only give you one charge. And that's because they only put on the charges if they exceed a certain percentage in nature. Like, they have to be rare to not show up. Well, they still have more than one charge, and they still use Roman numerals. So just because it doesn't have more than one charge on that periodic table doesn't mean it doesn't use Roman numerals. The only ones that don't are these two columns, those two, and then those ones up there. And Roman numerals are simply for charge. And I know this gets either learned or taught backwards in that it's really easy to go from Roman numerals to getting number of atoms because of the relationship between charge and number of atoms, which is why I'm emphasizing it. Writing names then should be fairly, it's probably the easiest side because you don't have to worry about Roman numerals. So for this particular one, but before you just write it, look it up and confirm it doesn't need Roman numerals, and then write the name. I'm going to take attendance and then ask two people what the name is. So attendance, you did that. Nope, no longer. B. Alex.
Is it here. Because
Aria.
it's ionic.
Ariel.
Yeah, because it's
Charlie.
ionic, not covalent.
Zach.
Is that a?
I think that's
Eric. It's no longer here.
ionic. You could just use the
Isaac.
charges instead of
Isabel.
prefixes.
Jessica.
Is it
Kira.
Let me check if it's
Natsuho.
yeah, barium.
And Sihu. And Sterling. And Jaden.
Yeah.
And not here. And Tyler.
Yeah.
And Natsuho. There you are. You have to be louder. Otherwise, I start looking around. And there we go. So everybody got these two?
Yeah.
Okay, first one. Jaden. What's that one? Pardon? Barium. Fluoride. Just name the first one, name the second one. We don't have to worry about anything else.
The second one.
Oh, no. I'll ask someone else. Use my random person generator. Alexander.
Potassium phosphate.
Potassium phosphide. Excellent. Anybody need me to stop there? Explain anything? Okay. For the next one, I'm going to belabor the point, which means I am going to go through this step by step, as if you've never seen it before in your lives. And you do not have to do this every time you do a problem. The reason I want to do this is I want to emphasize where the number of atoms comes from and really relate it to the charge. So, magnesium phosphide and aluminum bromide. I'm going to ask people, first of all, Sterling, what is the charge on magnesium?
The charge on magnesium is +2.
Plus 2. So the first thing you do is identify each ion and put it in its charge. The next one for phosphide, Guy, what is the symbol and charge on phosphide? -3, what's the symbol? 3, there we go. So we have +2 and -3. Now, you probably have learned crisscross applesauce, in which you just switch them around, but I want to do it the slow way in order to teach the relationship between the two, and then you can start going back to that once you understand why. When we need to balance this, what number do they both go into? 6. How many times does 2 go into 6? 3. So we need 3 of those. And how many of those? 2. Because then we have +6 and -6. And the overall charge for an ionic compound should be 0. So we then note the ratio of positive to negative. Noted. Use the subscripts to write the formula, omit the 1, so we can go Mg3, phosphorus 2. Now, if you use the trick, crisscross, you will get the same answer in one step, and you're perfectly allowed to do that. It's fast. But if I had, say, magnesium oxide, we already know that Mg is +2. What is oxide, Isabel? -2. So how many of each do you need?
1.
1. So you would just write MgO, because you don't need more than 1, and the numbers here don't reflect how many you need. They just are balancing out charges. If you do crisscross and you get Mg2O2, that is a problem easily solved. What do you do at that point? Because for an ionic compound, which is a ratio, you wouldn't keep it like that. It's like having a fraction that's 2/2. What do you do with that? Pardon? Simplify. They both go into 2 one time, so then you write MgO. So as long as you simplify, that method will still work. But I wanted you to have that so we know the reason why we're simplifying. Do aluminum bromide. You can go through the entire process, or you can just give me the answer when I call upon you. Where is it? There it is. He's wearing many hats. Oh, boy.
Yeah, because if there's one of these, then it's +3. There's 3 of these. It's fine.
There. Fixed. Okay, next one. Aria, what is the final answer for that one? Where did it go? Sorry? It is aluminum and bromide. What are the numbers of each? 3 behind bromide. So we look them up. Aluminum is +3. It's one of the ones we don't need Roman numerals for. Bromine is -1. We note, determine the total charges needed to balance it. They both go into 3. Aluminum once, bromine 3 times. +3, -3. We note it, and then we pop it in. You have a worksheet in which you are practicing naming that looks like that. Nope, that was just memorizing the elements and symbols. Where'd that go? There it is, called binary compounds in the front. You have a few moments now. Start going through, naming them. One of the parts is counting the number of atoms after you come up with the correct formula. That's a quick way of determining afterwards if you've got the right thing. You can start or finish off that sheet now. Got a few minutes.
Did I get one because I was in your last
Yep.
class?
I think it was a class before last class,
Yeah,
but
did I get one?
I have a few here. Probably also a poster. Who needs one? There we go. This is 9:35.
Get them right now.
Really?
Or you can walk them over to the printer. Bro, that test will take like 2 minutes, dude. Unless like you didn't study.
I literally studied alongside everybody.
you just gone ahead. Fine. Yeah, you know. Right.
Strontium's SR 38.
Not that much. I went over.
38.
Did you put the laptop away? Yes. Yeah, you need to do it. That was good. Three. Oh, this is efficient if you just want to write them all down. But the purpose is to go through so that you identify them as you go through. If you can. And I'm going to take that away now, because that's done.
It would just be the PP.
Okay, if you could put that worksheet away, we are going to do something else. Put it away. This is for homework. We're going to do one more thing before we go do the quiz.
We have way more than 5 minutes.
That is, I sat down to mark your lab books. Number one, before we mark it, I would like to say, having gone through, done the pre-lab, answered the questions, this class was one of the best, like all three classes actually, for the T3 blocks, one of the better classes I've had in the last few years in terms of doing the second part, coming up with reasonable ways to make the temperature high. You did excellent. But as I was going to mark it, I realized people were making the same mistakes that they were making on the first one that I gave feedback on, and that I thought they corrected. And then if I just mark it and give it back, but then they just look at the mark and they're not noticing what they're doing wrong, and they don't correct it the next time, the problem goes on. So then I thought, how's the best way for them to know what it is that they have to do when they make up a lab? And then I realized the best way is for me to be extremely lazy and to make you mark it. So what I'm going to do is give you a random lab book and a marking sheet. And then we're going to go through it line by line. Things like, is there a name and date in full at the top of every page? And if there is, you go, check. And is there no erasing that you can find? They've just lightly crossed it out in the lab. If there is, you go, check. And then we're just going to go through the lab. You will get feedback. When you get this, you're going to put your name here, that's the name of the marker, and you put the name of the person there. And then when you're done, we're going to tuck it into the lab book. I'm going to take a look at it later. And then that way I know everybody's gone through it with someone else's lab. You will have had someone else, because one of the things, the purpose of all of this in the lab book is guiding you to the point where someone else could take your lab book and redo a lab. If they had the worksheet, because you didn't necessarily write out the whole procedure, but they had this, your flow chart, they'd be able to follow along with the entire lab, redo it, and get your results. Because it's about communication. So, it doesn't even actually matter which block it is, provided I don't I don't give you a grade 12 one. So come on up, grab one of these, and then I will give you a random lab book. Ah, yeah. That's going to have very few things in it.
Yeah.
Oh, this one says temp lab book,
Yeah.
but it has nothing in it. There we go. There. There. That is the thing. Oh, no, that's grade 12. That's grade 12. That's grade 12. Hold it. Is that one? It says grade 1, actually grade 12? Nope, that one's not. Okay. Oh, that one's from this class. Oh, we need to pull up more. Oh, these are awesome. Let's go. Nope. Grade 12. Grade 12. Oh, there's one. JoJo. Pardon? You don't have a pen?
This person got the best one. Yeah, I know.
Oh, you're a special pen. Oh, you need,
Burn it.
why can't you use it on a piece of paper?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. You need to come to class each and every class prepared. Actually, I didn't know there's some things back there in the basket. Take a look. I bought a whole pound of them. Because I don't actually seem to have any here. Just white ones.
Well, I feel bad for whoever got mine.
Name of marker. Isaac. Oh my god. Dude.
So,
look at
that's
this.
crazy.
Yeah.
Bro, this shit's like this. Just check everything. Check everything. You don't even need a marker. Just check everything. Bro, Jaden, look at this.
Yep, that will not have a lot of check marks on it then.
And they're locked in.
You need writing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, if I can get your attention. Ahem.
Locked in.
Write down your name here and find the name of the person who owns it and write it there. Your name, their name, your name, their name. Yep.
Does that count as like a race?
Yes. Single line
Single
is
line?
required. If you want to get out, actually, if you have a different colored pen, red or something, where you can circle if you see something that should be called attention to. So for the first section, if I can get attention, don't try and do it all at once right now. We're just going to do it one at a time. Go through, double check. Is there name and date in full at the top of every page? If it is, give them a check mark.
There's no mistakes.
If there's no mistakes, that's fine. If there's no erasing, that's fine. They need a single line to cross out mistakes. So they scribbled something out so you can't read it. That means they don't get a check mark. No check marks. Yes? Is it a single line? No check mark.
If there's 2 lines, is that fine? Or does that have to be 1 line?
Single line.
No way. This sucks. Wait, that's not
Next one.
What if they
Did,
have
as according to the instructions, people remember to put their table of contents down. So at the very beginning, where you save space, is there a table of contents? If there is, give them a check mark. I think very few people remember that. Check that the pages are numbered sequentially from the beginning to the lab. Now some people messed up with their numbering. They started off and they didn't number and they started one later. So they did something smart like 0A, 0B, 0C. Like they did some sort of numbering so you can find things. That's fine. But is it numbered in a logical order from beginning to end on every page? from the very beginning.
What if it says 1, 2, like 1 on the front of the page and 2 on the back?
Yeah, that's numbering every page, that's good, yeah. If they are skipping pages, so they say 1 on the front and they don't say anything on the back, then they've skipped a page, they didn't number it. Every page needs a number. Ah, then it's no check mark. Every page must be numbered.
White space is not overly cluttered though.
Now the next one needs some explanation.
Pretty cluttered.
Next one needs some explanation. Neat and organized doesn't mean that they've used lots of color and it looks pretty. Neat and organized means you can read it and there's like sufficient the next one, white space, that you can tell one part away from another, and that section's clearly separated, and there's a structure to it so you can follow along. So all of that adds to neat and organized. So if you look at it and go, I can read this, that's neat and organized. Do they have enough white space so it's not hugely cluttered? Are the sections clearly separated? And is there a consistent structure? Don't worry about the flow chart yet, we're not quite there. And I think actually we're not gonna quite get there. I thought this would take 10 minutes, but we're at 10 minutes now. So what I'm going to ask you to do, give them a mark out of 8 based on the number of check marks they got. Onto the left of that, put it inside, and I'm going to hold this till next day, we'll keep marking it. If you could take them and bring them to me over here, with a piece of paper on the inside. Right over here. But this is also to teach the like you. And then your next, you'll have an opportunity, if you're like, oh, I didn't do any of that, you'll have an opportunity to make up for it. And once you have this in, tuck it into the first page. Take out your computer, go to go to the Google Classroom, get ready to do Kia. There's a pre-lab. We're going to do the actual one.
Sounds sweet. Secret word.
Right.
What is the secret word?
What do you mean, what's the secret
It
word?
says, what's the secret word?
Then you don't give them a check mark, you give them a mark.
It's queen.
Start now.
They
See
don't
that?
change.
Wait,
with
where
the
do you
two
find
halfway
this?
through.
Mr.
It's got a
Neufeld?
logical sequence and structure.
Mr. Neufeld,
Yep.
it's asking for a secret word.
Yes, so get to the point that it asks you for the secret word, and then stop.
Oh,
And
this
put
is
away
the
your data
actual
booklet.
quiz.
You're not allowed to have it for this particular quiz, so data booklet goes away. That is a very nice.
What's your password?
Does everybody have their the Kia quiz up? Kia quiz? We're doing it right now. We have,
How about the free? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where is it?
Wait, I already
Wait,
did.
what?
Wait, if I've already done
No,
it
no,
3
you did the
times,
pre-quiz.
does that count? Oh.
go to our class, go to classwork,
Oh,
and the element symbol name at the very top is a link to the actual quiz. Click on that, it'll ask you for your username and password, and then you'll get to one that says secret word. Your password won't work for that. That is the secret
Oh,
word.
just go to,
Wait, how do you spell
Cleo.
manganese?
just go to Cleo.
So once everybody's up to the secret word, you can get to it from the Google Classroom. You'll probably get the right one if you do that. Secret word, secret word.
And go to the class.
If you want to try and guess the secret
Yeah.
word, you can.
Like that.
There you go.
I think so.
Go to Google Classroom, classword, top one. Link. Secret word, secret word, secret word. Is there anybody not, you're doing the wrong quiz. You're doing the pre-quiz.
I know, I'm on the.
Yeah, put that away, get the secret word. Close all your other tabs.
What's the secret word?
Can we start on?
Guess it.
You got secret word?
Very.
Oh wait, should I just make the new
Right, when I mess up on the spelling. We have
Log in?
Yes, you have to learn the spell.
Dark.
No, like start
Yeah,
now.
this is like logging, isn't it?
He's edging
Oh.
us. He's not.
Okay, I don't think it is.
How do you spell brilliant?
No, no, because if I press start now, that makes sense.
No, you don't. Press start. No. Secret word. Okay. Does anybody not have secret word up?
How about mangoes?
Oh, and separate a little. I mean, your quizzes should all be a little different, but your secret word, all one word, is Shar,
What?
goddess of loss.
In what